Okay, I have seen the first or third episode, if you want to be technically correct, of the new series, and I have to say that it exceeded my expectations of what I could expect from the second generation. Obviously, you'd expect the writing to be superior to the pilot, to which it was, and the humour contained was reminiscent of the original Knight Rider. The banter between Kit and Tracer is similar to that of the relationship that the original Michael Knight and the Kit had. Tracer is so much like his father, it's untrue. This was evident in the opening minutes of the show, where Kit was lecturing him through his earpiece on how he should change his diet, drink less, and spend less time with women. Kit himself has become much more like his elder brother, particularly in the medical department, where he seals up the package's wound where his thumb had been cut off. It's a nice touch on his voice box, where there's a small red circle that moves to whomever he's directing his voice to. While the special effects aspect has gotten more sophisticated compared to the pilot that aired back in February, I felt that in places that the mechanical transformation was a little over the top. Impressive, but somewhat extreme. I like the banter between Zoe and Billy, played by Smith Chow and Paul Campbell. Billy is clearly the comedy relief of the show, and it seems that he's being set up for most of the jokes, particularly when Kit points out where he would highlight where Billy went wrong in his calculations. And Zoe subtly responds by saying, "owned." Some would argue that it's somewhat cliche when a form of media quotes an internet meme, but by the same token it also shows that the show has moved with the times, whilst it stays true and faithful to where it originated from. The storytelling surrounding Mike's past is very compelling, how he doesn't remember incidents from his days as an army ranger from Iraq, and how adversaries he runs into make these comments about his past or movements, and he's oblivious to what they're telling him. History repeats itself, with Carrie executing what looks like a killing of Mike by shooting him on a subway station in Washington. In a weird way, it's reminiscent of how Michael Long became Michael Knight in Night of the Phoenix 26 years ago. A lot of fans, critics, naysayers, and crybabies alike will debate that it's very cliched that Mike takes his father's identity from when he joined the Foundation, and Michael Knight II is born. Torres makes a point of saying that Kit is learning and how he deals with him being engulfed in flames on his way to re-enter the Kit Cave. Ugh, they have really got to change that name. The twist is that Charles says that Michael will come after Torres when he remembers what he did to him that caused Knight Jr. to lose his memory in Beirut. Torres is the token antagonist of the show, and I think it's more than likely that the fanboys will repeatedly flame him for the role he plays in the show. Although it is somewhat plausible to use the aircraft carrier to transport Kit to as and where applicable he needs to go up and down the country, I still believe, like all the other Knight fans, it would have been more respectful if they had brought the old Flag Semi out of retirement. That reminds me, if and when Knight Industries 2000 gets brought back into the story, how will they get him aboard that plane? For those that watched Season 4's episode Sky Knight back in 1985, Kit directly states that he's afraid of flying and did a pose of boarding the plane when Michael chased after the terrorist he was pursuing. Well, Gary Scott Thompson, Justin Bruning, Kit, and the rest of the cast answered a question in this episode that I've had for some time. Would the start of this series be as good as the original? The answer? A resounding yes. And then some. Bring on episode 2, or 4 if you wish to be technical. Till issue 24, good night from the Knight.